There's a silent kind of destruction, far more lethal than violence, scandal, or open confrontation. It thrives on control, stillness, calculated withdrawal. It doesn't roar, it erodes, quietly, patiently, until your enemy's undone, without ever seeing it coming. This is pure Machiavelli. He knew real power never wastes itself in a frontal clash. True power makes your opponent undress themselves, layer by layer, while you stand silent. Destruction doesn't shout, it whispers, and the quietest force leaves the deepest scar. Picture this: someone insults you, maybe in a crowd, maybe behind closed doors. The common man erupts, defensive, loud, desperate to guard his pride. He spits words back, lashes out, claws for validation, instinct, animal. But the Machiavellian mind, entirely different beast. You do nothing, no twitch, no flinch, no rebuttal. You stand there still, calm, unmovable. And that stillness, that's the blade. They crave your reaction. They expect to taste your rage, your panic, your need to claw back. But you starve them. Nothing. So they keep talking, louder, more frantic. Each word strips them bare. They stand exposed, petty, unstable, obsessed, while you remain the ghost in the room, untouchable. The narrative's yours now. The silence brands them as the aggressor. You, untarnished. Above it all, this is destruction by composure. Your calm isn't weakness, it's a noose. Every attempt they make to rattle you only tightens it. They want a war, yet you refuse the battlefield. And so they fight themselves, unravel themselves, while you watch, unbroken. Stillness is power. It scrambles their mind. They're wired for chaos, expecting your outrage, your fire, your claws, but you give them nothing, and so they twist in their own storm. The more they push, the clearer it becomes. They're frantic, you're unshaken. They fall apart, trying to shake you. And that is the first iron rule: stillness as your sword. The real force in this tactic lies in one thing: holding that composure endlessly. An insult's a hook, they cast it, craving your bite. But you don't bite, you don't twitch, you stand still, and in that stillness, they starve. The more they spit venom, the more foolish they appear. And right there, you reclaim the stage. Now comes the second blade, withdrawal. You don't react, you vanish, quietly, entirely. You strip them of your presence, your energy, your ear. No grand farewell. Your silence is the farewell. No dramatic exit. Your absence is the statement. And when you subtract yourself, they're left flailing, hungry. They crave your spark to keep their fire burning, yet you feed them nothing. So they chase you harder, bark louder, claw at shadows. And the harder they push, the smaller they become. See, withdrawal needs no words, no warning, just removal. The power of subtraction. You deny them their oxygen, your reaction, your attention, your validation. Let them scream into the void. Let them claw at air. The more desperate they appear, the more untouchable you become. They feed on noise. You offer none. They shout. You build. They spiral. You ascend. Every attempt they make to drag you down only exposes how deep in the pit they already are. They want a duel, yet you've left the field. They're fighting shadows while you thrive in daylight. This is Machiavellian mastery. Let them ruin themselves. Stand still. Withdraw. Let their noise echo against empty walls. They try to bait you into the mud, yet you stand above, clean, untouchable. The more they roar, the smaller they sound. And here's the brilliance. You lift no sword, yet they bleed themselves dry. No defense, no counterattack, just silence. The void you leave behind devours their schemes. Public eyes watch. Who stands calm? who's frantic, who looks like power, and who reeks of desperation. Machiavelli knew, perception is the throne. The moment you refuse the role they script for you, you shatter their play. They want to provoke, shape the scene, drag you into a story, but when you refuse the part, the story dies. The audience sees them for what they are: needy, noisy, hollow. In the end, you win, not by force, not by fight, but by being the ghost they can't touch and the mirror that shows them their own ruin. The noise, it's about letting that silence do the work for you. Stay composed, untouched, and the world will see them as they truly are: frantic, fragile, irrelevant. This isn't revenge. This isn't about proving who's stronger. It's about seizing the narrative, bending it, until your enemy's efforts dissolve into nothing. They hurl their insults, hoping you'll shrink, break, fall to pieces under their sneers. But when you stand there, unbothered, unscarred, they look small, they look desperate. You stay above it, moving forward, while they drown in their own noise. And here's the final strike: irrelevance. You don't fight them, you don't acknowledge them, you erase them without saying a word. You starve them. No reaction, no attention, no audience. They push harder, raise their voice, claw for your eyes, yet all they expose is their own insecurity. They scream to be seen, and all they show is weakness. This is the quiet victory. You don't have to win every clash. Because you refuse to step into the ring, you let them shadow box, while you build your throne, your calm, your distance, your single-minded path forward. These are your weapons. They can't drag you down if you don't step into the pit. They can't touch you if you're not there to touch. That's Machiavellian power, destruction without attack. You twist the game. You make your enemy undress themselves in public. You render their battles meaningless. You rule through absence, your silence louder than any roar. True force doesn't posture. It doesn't shout. It's felt in the hush that breaks the other side. It's in the stillness that they crumble. And here's the genius. This isn't just silence. It's a scalpel for the mind. You turn their own weakness on them. Insults, rumors, whispers behind closed doors. They're never about you. They're born from their own lack, their desperate hunger to be fed by your reaction. They need you to notice. They need you to flinch. They crave your attention like air, so you choke it off. You give them nothing. No glance, no rebuttal, no presence. And that void, it devours them. They wither in the dark. They suffocate on their own irrelevance. You don't just hold your silence, you make it their undoing. That is the art, turning their craving into the blade that guts them. You stand silent, while they burn themselves down for an audience that's no longer watching. Their greatest weakness is laid bare. They need you. They feed off your reaction like parasites. The more they spit, the more hollow they show themselves to be. They're not out to destroy you. They're desperate to anchor themselves to you. You're the pillar that props up their story, their fragile sense of self. But when you withdraw, when you stay silent, that pillar crumbles. No reaction, no fuel, no fire. You cut off their supply. They scramble for another spark, but there's nothing left to burn. And then they face themselves, and they can't stand the reflection. Every empty jab they throw boomerangs back, turns inward. You become the void they can't fill. The longer you hold that line, untouched, unbothered, the clearer it becomes to everyone watching. They're obsessed. They're grasping for relevance that doesn't exist anymore. Most people panic under attack, snap back, defend, claw for validation. And by doing so, they stamp the attack as real. They breathe life into poison. But you break the cycle. You stand unmoved. You strip the insult of its power, let it rot in silence. They hurl the stone. You don't flinch. They look foolish. swinging at air. The brilliance. It's psychological warfare. They rant, they chase, they gossip, and the longer they howl at your shadow, the clearer the truth becomes. They're the ones clinging. They're the ones naked in their need. People see it. They see the spiral. And your stillness. It sharpens the spotlight on their desperation. You never need to strike back. You don't tear them down. They dismantle themselves, piece by piece. All you do is hold your power, your energy, your attention. Every time they speak your name, and you answer with silence, they shrink, they wither. They become the story they tried to pin on you. Petty, obsessed, irrelevant. This is the trap. They crave your reaction to keep you tangled in their game. But when you refuse, they're left alone, swinging at a ghost. They're digging a hole that only they can't climb out of. Picture this, at work, in the circle of your peers, someone tries to stain you with rumor. Whispers, sly digs. They want your defense. They want your protest. They want your fire to light their spectacle. But you don't flinch. You don't defend. You don't even acknowledge. You glide past untouched, while they stand exposed. They want drama. You hand them emptiness. They want your reaction. You give them indifference. They want your downfall. You hand them their own undoing. Over time, the room shifts. The eyes shift. The ones who sought to stain you stand exposed, cracked open by their own desperation, while you rise untouched, unshaken, unstoppable. See, the ruin doesn't happen in the clash. It unfolds in the silence that follows. Every word they spit that lands nowhere. Every rumor that fizzles in your calm. Every desperate attempt that drips into the void, strips them bare. They shout into emptiness, hoping to wound you, yet only wounding themselves. They show the world exactly what they are: frantic, irrelevant, powerless. Meanwhile, you stand, steady, moving forward, delivering results that speak louder than 1,000 defenses ever could. You don't justify, you don't explain, you excel, you conquer by contrast. This is where the blade truly cuts deep, when your actions slice through their lies. They brand you incompetent, so you answer with precision, outcomes, and undeniable results. They call you arrogant, yet you walk humble, generous, unassuming. They whisper you're manipulative, yet you stand transparent, your integrity visible for all to see. No words, no protest, just action, action that silences rumor, action that turns suspicion into disbelief. The brilliance, it's pure Machiavelli, subtle, surgical, devastating. Try to forge a mask for you, but you make that mask meaningless. The more they cling to their story, the clearer it becomes that the story never matched the truth. You don't have to prove them wrong. Your reality does that for you. And each day you stand firm, each success you stack, each quiet contradiction you live, shifts perception. People start to see the cracks. They weigh rumor against reality, and the rumor rots in their hands. Their narrative dies not by your blade, but by your existence. You become proof that they lied, walking, breathing proof. And while they obsess over a battle you never fought, while they cling to gossip, you're building, winning, living on a plane they can't reach. This is the final stroke. Quiet, clean, undeniable. Let them scream, let them spin their tales. While they spiral, you rise. And when people look at you, and then look at them, they see the truth with brutal clarity. They see desperation on one side, and calm certainty on the other. And in that brutal contrast, your enemy fades to nothing. Lose all bite, stripped of power by your very existence. Their poison dries up the moment it touches your reality. The contrast shatters every lie they spun. They stand naked in their failure, while you stand untouched in your truth. And here's the brilliance. This doesn't roar. It doesn't clash. It doesn't announce itself. It unfolds in silence, driven by your steady hand, your daily discipline, your quiet mastery. The accuser's words rot because your actions drown them out. Your consistency crushes every rumor they sow. This isn't a strike back, it's an evolution. You don't fight them, you outgrow them. You walk beyond reach, and in doing so, you reveal the real battle was never about your reputation. It was about your position, your standard, your elevation above the noise. They wanted you pulled down to their mud. Instead, you climbed so high, they can't see you anymore. That's the final stroke, become so formidable that they vanish in your shadow. You don't break them by force, you break them by existing at a level they cannot touch. You stand as proof that their poison means nothing. Your every step forward exposes them for what they are, small, bitter, and irrelevant. This is the crown of Machiavellian power, exposure by contrast. They hiss incompetent. You execute flawlessly. They spit arrogant. You move with humility, calm, generosity. They scheme manipulator. You radiate transparency. Each move of yours is a knife to their narrative. Each success an echo that makes their accusations sound foolish. And slowly, the audience sees. They weigh rumor against fact, drama against reality. They see the distance between your world and your enemy's noise. The gap widens until the rumor collapses under its own weight. What you build, your persona, your results, your quiet dominance, becomes untouchable. You become so indispensable, so relentless, that they stand defeated by their own pettiness. And they realize, maybe too late, that they never mattered. They tried to stain you, but your silence, your actions, your contrast revealed the truth. No fight, no clash, no retaliation, just relentless progress, quiet mastery, and a standard they will never reach. That is the final blow, winning by living at a level they can't poison, can't pull down, can't touch. The real war, already won, higher so high, they can't even reach your shadow. The more they whisper, the more you build, the more they scheme, the more you deliver. And each quiet triumph slices through their lies without a single word spoken. See, when you stop acknowledging them altogether, you don't just silence them, you erase them. The void you create devours their relevance. They cling to an old story that no one listens to anymore, while you write new chapters they can't touch. Their venom turns to dust because you never taste it. They scream your name, yet you're gone, far beyond their reach. They become a ghost chasing a king they'll never stand beside. And that is Machiavellian destruction in its purest form, obliterating your enemy without lifting a single blade. They wanted your rage, your protest, your presence, yet you stand calm, focused, untouchable. They threw stones at your name, but your deeds built monuments, too tall for their rumor to scale. The crowd turns, sees you thriving, sees them shriveling, and in that silence, they crumble under the weight of their own game. This is no longer about fighting back. This is about refusing to be dragged down into the dirt. It's about letting their words echo into emptiness. You don't fight shadows, you walk through them. You don't chase gossip, you bury it beneath action. They become the footnote in the story they once tried to author. You become the chapter they could never write. And when the enemy works quietly, when they twist knives behind closed doors, Machiavelli's wisdom sharpens to its deadliest edge. He'd tell you, never defend, never explain. Each explanation feeds the rumor's fire. Each defense gives life to the lie. But when you do nothing, when you simply stand taller, when your results glare so brightly that no whisper can dim them, you expose their treachery without ever naming it. Let them whisper. Let them weave half-truths in the dark. Meanwhile, you let the light of your competence, Your precision, your consistency burn so bright that their shadows scatter like insects under a torch. The real answer is your elevation, your calm climb up the ladder they never had the courage to touch. And while they lurk in corners, afraid to face you in daylight, your empire expands in plain sight. They are forced to watch, silent, powerless, knowing every rumor they spin breaks apart the moment someone sees you stand. Speak, deliver, so you say nothing, you defend nothing. You become everything they said you could never be. And in that silence, they die a little more. Every time your name is spoken with respect, they can't taint. Become the proof that silences every whisper. You stand in the open, undeniable. Your success undeniable. Your presence undeniable. While they slither in shadows, no one cares to see anymore. You make yourself so visible, so effective, so precise in every word and every move that their quiet rumors shatter on contact with your reality. Speak with clarity, move with force, deliver results that crush suspicion under their weight. You become the spectacle, while they become a murmur lost behind closed doors. You don't drag them into the light, your actions do it for you. Every bold decision, every flawless execution, every display of integrity rips apart their tale without you ever saying their name. And the audience notices. They weigh rumor against reality. They measure your presence against the poison. They see you in meetings, your voice unwavering, your intent sharp, your performance undeniable. And they see the accuser shrinking behind the curtain they once hid behind so easily. The gap grows, the mask slips. The whispers starve for air and die silent deaths in corners where no one listens anymore. That is the brilliance. Your enemy is forced to watch you become untouchable. They grow irrelevant not because you fought them, but because you outshone them. They can't twist the narrative when your results stand in plain sight for all to judge. And when people see it, when they see you stand tall against the rumor, they begin to ask, why did I ever believe them? So the cycle breaks, the rumor dies, the audience shifts their eyes from their lies to your truth, and your enemy fades into nothing. They may flail, seek new prey, or vanish altogether, but they'll never touch you again. By then, you're too far above, out of reach, untouchable by rumor or whisper. This is the final cut. Machiavellian mastery at its sharpest edge, the death of relevance. No revenge, no scandal, just a quiet erasure that comes from your relentless rise. You don't destroy them. They destroy themselves when compared to you. And when the dust clears, only one truth remains standing. You never needed to fight. You never needed to defend. You never needed to stoop to their level. You simply rose, and in rising, you left them behind, forever irrelevant in a world that no longer even remembers their name. Leave them behind. Leave them grasping at the ashes of a war they could never win. Let them wander in circles, chasing ghosts of battles you never even bothered to fight. That's the final stroke. Machiavellian destruction at its most lethal, the silent ruin of an enemy who wasted themselves trying to touch you while you rose untouchable. There's no explosion, no scandal, no grand spectacle of revenge, just the quiet, brutal truth that they failed. They poured their venom, spread their rumors, played their petty games, yet here you stand, empire intact, empire growing, and them forgotten. Their words echoing in empty halls, unheard, unseen, powerless. They wanted you dragged into the mud, yet you soared so high, they can't even find your shadow. They wanted to stain you, yet you stand so luminous, their poison burns off before it ever lands. They wanted your destruction, yet all they destroyed was their own credibility. This is the crown of Machiavellian mastery. True power is never about the loud strike. It's the silent endurance, the refusal to engage, the refusal to bend, the quiet removal of fuel until your enemy collapses under the weight of their own failed schemes. You never needed to attack them. Your success did that for you. Your calm did that for you. Your indifference did that for you. And now, while they scramble for relevance, while they whisper to empty rooms, your story moves forward, unstoppable, untouchable, untarnished. They vanish, not because you fought them, because you didn't need to. The final ruin comes when they see it, when they stand in their failure and realize they never mattered at all. The world forgets them, but remembers you. And that is the purest form of quiet destruction they'll never recover from.